Every day, new questions and speculations arise on whether we could be the only living species in the world. After all, as big as the world and universe is, how could Earth possibly be the only planet with living forms? While there isn't a clear answer to all these questions yet, there are different occurrences and stories around the world which might point out the fact that we are truly not alone in this world. One of such stories is the story of Dolores Barrios, an alien who allegedly came from Venus and was described as the Venusian Woman. Hello there, and welcome to my channel. If you're new here, this channel discusses interesting and educating strange occurrences around the world. We have different series talking about theories of where man might have originated from, as well as tales of other incredible extraterrestrial phenomena in the world. Want to satisfy your curiosity about these topics? Then feel free to browse through our channel. And don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any of our interesting updates. Ever since 1947, when the first well-known UFO was sighted, there have been quite a lot of reports of other UFO sightings in different parts of the world. 7 years later, one of the most interesting tales of UFO sightings happened in the United States, precisely on the top of Mount Palomar. It all started at a UFO convention hosted by the Palomar Observatory in San Diego between August 7th and 8th, 1954. UFO conventions are gatherings of physicists, astronomers, witnesses, journalists, contactees, and curious people in general, in which extraterrestrial phenomena, paranormal phenomena, and UFO and general conspiracy theories are discussed. The UFO convention, which took place in 1954, was one of the first UFO conventions in the world. The convention's main event was a panel with 3 contactee men who claimed that they had interacted, witnessed, and even photographed aliens. These men attended the convention to teach its attendees about all they learned from the aliens, and to show proof that aliens were indeed real, and were in fact living amongst humans. The contactee who acted as the teacher was called George Adamski, a Polish-born but American citizen. George claimed that he had interacted and met with Nordic-like aliens, calling them Space Brothers. He described them as friendly and alleged that he was even allowed to fly in their spacecraft. He described their facial structure as being similar to human beings' own. Howbeit, there were some different aspects. During his presentation, he showed a painting of a Venusian he called Orthon. The picture showed the Venusians having the same morphological features as human beings. George said that the Space Brothers were from Venus and had been on Earth since the 20th of November, 1952. He claimed that their flying saucer landed in the Colorado desert, and that the Venusians delivered a message of concern to him about the future of the people on Earth. He claimed that they said that using nuclear weapons to fight wars was putting the planet at risk. Well, turns out they were right. Now, George's teachings took a dramatic turn when it seemed that the very aliens he described had decided to grace the convention with their presence. Here's what happened. Enjoying the video? Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share with your loved ones. On the first night of the first day of the convention, after George's teachings, a company of 2 men and 1 woman was spotted. According to eyewitnesses, the woman was incredibly beautiful and looked exactly the way George had described Venusians. The presence of the trio caused a stir amongst the attendees, who said all 3 of them had fair skin and that the woman wore her hair in a blonde bob. You might be thinking, and so, what's special about a fair-skinned woman with a bob hairstyle? Well, what made the attendees further insinuate that the woman was Venusian was because of some other unique features she had. The attendees claimed that she had a bone structure that projected from the middle of her forehead and extended down to her nose and eyes. There were also reports that the woman's eyes were very dark and fierce. As soon as their presence became known amongst the audience, the trio started getting asked questions. One of the participants asked, "Are you or are you not Venusians?" To which the woman replied calmly, and with a smile on her face, "No," refuting the claims that she and the men were aliens from Venus. Some sources claim that the woman didn't outrightly deny this accusation, but sidestepped the question and said that she and the men were there because the issues the Congress was discussing were of utmost interest to them. It later seemed that the trio took offense at being called Venusians. A man named Joo Martin was the only reporter covering the event. He worked for O Cruzeiro, a Brazilian magazine that was the most read and popular magazine in South America at that time. Martins asked the trio for a picture, but they declined the request. On the second day of the convention, Martins took a picture of the beautiful woman with unique facial features, and those of the two men around her, without their permission. Upon realizing that their pictures had been taken, the three of them ran away from the convention into the nearby woods. Now this is where it gets really interesting. Shortly after their hasty departure into the woods, some attendees claimed that they saw a UFO leave the same woods. Unfortunately, none of the attendees took pictures of this UFO. Pity. It might have just been the conclusive evidence needed to prove that the three of them were indeed aliens. On the other hand, personally, if they were really what people claim to be, I do not blame them for tucking tails and running. What about you? Do you think they're running away from the convention after their pictures were taken proves that they are aliens and were probably trying to prevent their cover from being blown? Do let us know in the comments section below. At this point, you might ask, who exactly were these people? Well, it turned out that when Martins, the reporter, made some investigations, the woman's name was Dolores Barrios, and she was a fashion designer from New York. And the men that came with her, Donald Morand and Bill Jackmart, both of who were musicians from California. But everything Martins discovered, in quote, was what anyone else who took a look at the registry of attendees at the convention could have found out. The trio entered the same info that Martins discovered during his investigation into the registry. However, something that proved that maybe these people were indeed aliens is how no one came to confirm their reputations or say they knew them. It seemed the trio just vanished into thin air, just as their acclaimed UFO did. Whilst the story of George's teaching on Venusians and their visit to the convention certainly sounded pleasant to UFO enthusiasts, many researchers concluded that George's claims and teachings were most likely fabricated. There were several factors that led them to believe this. Firstly, some researchers claimed that George's story of how the aliens warned him about Earth's future was similar to that of the plot of a movie titled The Day the Earth Stood Still, which debuted in 1951, 3 years before George's teaching. Additionally, most of the photos that George claimed were sightings of UFOs turned out to be false. In fact, upon investigation, it was discovered that George used pictures of a streetlight and the top of a chicken brooder to form the pictures. Gotta salute the creativity. Another instance that proved that everything that George claimed happened was probably in his fantasy was when he announced that he got an invitation to have a secret audience with Pope John the 23rd, and according to him, earned a Golden Medal of Honor from His Holiness. Well, guess what? Any tourist in Rome could have gotten that same medal with a few cents. These and some other factors made a lot of UFO researchers discard George's claims and teachings. It didn't end there. The reporter who published the event in the magazine also faced some skepticism. In 1952, Martins and a photographer named Ed Keffel claimed to have seen a blue-gray, circular flying object above them. They said the UFO circled above them for about a minute, in which Ed Keffel was able to take about 5 photographs. They then rushed to the lab to publish the photos in a tabloid. A lot of militaries went to inspect the photos, and one Colonel Jack from the U.S. Embassy believed the images to be real. However, upon investigation by a criminal expert from the Institute of Criminal Optics of Guanabara, the conclusion was that the shadows in the images didn't add up. This made researchers also doubt Martin's report on the Venusians. Many believed he was a reporter who just wanted to draw attention. So, there you have it, all the details about the story of the woman from Venus. Their alleged disappearance adds to the mysteriousness of the story. However, the skepticism surrounding both George and Martins made people rule out the incident as just a coincidental occurrence. Now that you know the full story, do you think that Dolores was indeed from Venus and Venusians really exist? Or was it all a fantasy in George's mind? Do share in the comments below. Interested in more theories and content like this? Then go through our channel. I'm sure you'd find something else to catch your fancy. Don't forget to subscribe and share this video with other knowledge junkies like you.